And hello everybody, it's Steady Teddy back again playing some more Ark Survival Evolved. Today we're back on Scorched Earth, where I did the building insulation videos. But this time I want to take a look at the armor. From cloth to the desert armor, chitin, flak, riot and the G8r armor. To work out which is the best armor to use on Scorched Earth. As we all know, that the desert cloth armor is the best to use on Scorched Earth, because it lets you see through sandstorms and it's got an amazing insulation. But there's a downside, it's still pretty weak. There is one thing though, I don't see too many people wearing G8r armor on Scorched Earth. I don't know if that is because of bad insulation, or because it's so hard to get on Scorched Earth. We all know it's got immense armor rating, so it can take a lot of hits, but I want to test how it holds up in the heat. So I'm going to go through all 6 types of armor to see which is the best to use on Scorched Earth. Right, let's get started. I'll go with the cloth first. So, as you guys could see, I have 6 large storage boxes, each containing 1 full set of armor. Right, so with the cloth armor you get 50 armor, which is not a lot. A hypothermal insulation of 137, and a hyperthermal insulation of 188. Even though the insulation isn't too bad, you wouldn't stand a chance in a fight with a bigger dinosaur with an armor rating of 50. No way. Right guys, let's move on to the desert cloth armor. As we all know, the desert cloth armor does really well in Scorched Earth. It's got very good insulation and it's got pretty good armor. Not as good as others, but it's still pretty good. Plus, it can help you see in sandstorms. So guys, the armor rating for the desert cloth armor is 200, which isn't too bad at all. The hypothermal insulation is 138, and the hyperthermal insulation is 250, which is really good on Scorched Earth and will keep you quite cool. I wouldn't say the desert cloth armor is the best to go to a raid with, but it's good for surviving. Right guys, next we're going to go for the Chitin Armor, or some would call it chitin. As we all know, Chitin Armor has quite a good armor rating, and can withstand quite a few hits. Right guys, the armor rating for Chitin is 250, which isn't bad at all, and can withstand quite a few hits from bigger dinosaurs. The hypothermal insulation is 149, and the hyperthermal insulation is 47, which is not that great at all. I would say Chitin's more for playing on the centre and the island, and I could say it's quite useless on Scorched Earth, unless you need it for defense, and you haven't got access to Flak Armor yet. Now it's time to move on to the Flak Armor. As we all know, Flak Armor is the most commonly used in Ark, just because of its high armor rating, and not too bad insulation. Right guys, the armor rating for Flak is 500, which is double the amount that Chitin Armor has. The hypothermal insulation is 171, and the hyperthermal insulation is 47. The best selling point for Flak Armor is its armor rating of 500, which is a huge improvement over the previous tiers of armor. On the other hand, the insulation ratings for the Flak Armor are a bit, not too bad. It's a lot better in the cold than the heat, but is that a trade-off to have better armor and have less insulation? But others say they prefer to stay with a desert cloth because of its better insulation. Right guys, let's move on to the Riot Gear. Right guys, the armor rating for Riot Gear is only 575, only 25 more than the Flak Armor. The hypothermal insulation is only 171, exactly the same as the Flak Armor. But the hyperthermal insulation is -8, which is terrible for Scorched Earth. So really, the Riot Gear isn't much of an improvement over the Flak Armor. So I can't really recommend using the Riot Gear on Scorched Earth, because of its such bad insulation. Plus, there's not really a use for it, and it takes a lot of polymer to craft. So let's move on to the last tier of armor, the Tech tier. As we all know, Tech gear is very endgame, and it's quite hard to get and to make. Even though it's quite hard to make, it does a lot of useful things, like flying, power punching, and running really fast. But there's one downside. It has to be powered by element, which is gained by killing bosses. So guys, the armor rating for Tech tier is 820, which is a massive improvement over Riot Gear and Flak Armor. And the insulation isn't bad at all. The hypothermal insulation is 165, and the hyperthermal insulation is 88. The insulation rating for tech tier is a lot better than most other armor, but is still surpassed by the desert cloth armor by a lot. But I don't really mind that, just because of its crazy high armor rating and the abilities it's got. I think I'd like to run around on Scorched Earth with it. I think farming for element is quite a big put off for the tech tier, so I'd much rather run around in the desert cloth armor, just because of its really good insulation and the ability to see through sandstorms. And as always, if you enjoyed the video and found it useful, please leave a like, subscribe and drop a comment. This is Steady Teddy and I'll catch you all in the next video. Goodbye.